One single Instagram post from 50 Cent didn't just stir conversation, it lit a match in a room already filled with gasoline. For years, a quiet tension had been sitting in the shadows, barely noticed by the public. At first glance, the post seemed like another casual jab, the kind celebrities throw around online every day. But the moment people spotted a comment hinting about KingHarris and questioning who his real father might be, the mood changed instantly. What looked like harmless trolling suddenly felt explosive. The reason it hit so hard is simple. The friction between 50 Cent and T.I. didn't appear out of nowhere. Their rivalry traces back nearly 20 years. What the internet was witnessing now wasn't a fresh argument. It was the latest spark in a feud that had been quietly building beneath the surface for a very long time. Rewind to the mid-2000s. The rap industry was dominated by two powerful forces moving in completely different directions. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson had transformed G-Unit into a ruthless business machine, pushing massive records, selling millions, and shaping the commercial sound of hip-hop. Meanwhile, down in Atlanta, Clifford T.I. Harris Jr. was carving out his own empire, proudly crowning himself the King of the South. For many fans, the title didn't feel like bragging. It felt earned. Whenever two artists hold that much power at the same moment, friction becomes inevitable. At first, the tension stayed subtle. Competitive interviews, quiet remarks, and clever lyrical jabs floated through the culture without exploding into a full war. But everything began shifting around 2007 and 2008. That's when 50 Cent started publicly raising questions about T.I.'s legal troubles. In hip-hop, even a hint that someone cooperated with federal authorities can permanently damage a reputation. And suddenly, those hints were impossible to ignore when journalists later pressed 50 Cent about the controversial lyric. He never gave a straight answer. Instead of confirming or denying anything, he leaned back into his usual strategy, leaving just enough mystery for people to argue about it themselves. The silence was calculated. By refusing to clarify, 50 Cent allowed the rumor mill to do all the work for him. On the other side, T.I. never stopped pushing back against the whispers. From interviews to public appearances, he repeatedly insisted that he had never cooperated with authorities in any way. According to T.I., his legal situation had been resolved strictly through an agreement with the court. As part of that process, he completed more than 1,000 hours of community service, traveled across different states, and spoke to young people about avoiding the mistakes that nearly cost him everything. But in hip-hop, explanations rarely move as fast as rumors. Once a narrative takes hold, it spreads through the culture like wildfire. For a while, the tension between 50 Cent and T.I. seemed to fade into the background. The rivalry never truly vanished, but it stopped dominating conversations across the industry. Then years later, the calm cracked again. Comments made by T.I. about the tragic situation surrounding King Von in Atlanta sparked criticism online. Some listeners felt the remarks came across as insensitive, and 50 Cent was among those who noticed. Even then, though, the disagreement didn't explode into a full-blown feud. The real storm arrived later, and it started with something unexpectedly small. During an appearance on the Nightcap podcast with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Johnson, T.I. casually mentioned that he and 50 Cent had once discussed doing a versus battle while both were in Los Angeles working on television projects. According to T.I., the conversation had originally happened behind closed doors, but once he spoke about it publicly, the reaction from 50 Cent made it seem like that conversation had never existed at all. Beyond her fame on stage, TinyHarris quietly built a powerful reputation behind the scenes as a songwriter. One of her biggest achievements came when she helped craft the legendary TLC anthem, No Scrubs. The track became a cultural phenomenon, echoing across radios everywhere. She also contributed to music connected with Destiny's Child, proving that her influence reached far beyond her own performances. For many artists, accomplishments like that would already define an entire career. Long before her life became intertwined with T.I., TinyHarris kept most of her personal story out of the spotlight. In the early 1990s, she was in a long relationship with Zani Zebo-Pulins. And together, they welcomed a daughter named Zonique. Years later, Zonique would step into the music world herself, becoming part of the group Oh My God Girls and carrying on the family's creative legacy. There was also a brief moment in the mid-1990s when TinyHarris crossed paths with Tupac Shakur. She later explained that the connection was friendly and respectful, but it never grew into anything serious. It was simply one of those passing encounters that sometimes happen in the unpredictable world of music. Eventually, fate brought TinyHarris and T.I. together through mutual industry connections. At first, the story didn't unfold like a fairy tale. Reports suggest she wasn't interested initially and even turned him down more than once. But persistence and time slowly changed that dynamic. Their bond deepened. And what began as hesitation evolved into a powerful partnership. After years of building their relationship, TinyHarris and T.I. married in 2010. Together, they created one of hip-hop's most recognizable celebrity families. Their lives became so visible that cameras eventually followed them for the reality series T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle. But behind the fame, their story would soon face storms no one expected, as the tension kept rising. The situation stopped being just a clash between two rappers. Slowly, other members of the Harris family began stepping into the spotlight. KingHarris fired back with his own diss track titled Made Man, turning his frustration into music and making it clear he wasn't staying silent. Not long after, TinyHarris joined the chaos as well, responding through his own song and adding another voice to the growing storm. What made the moment even stranger was how 50 Cent reacted. Instead of jumping into the booth or replying with music, he seemed almost uninterested in the tracks themselves. Rather than acknowledging the songs directly, 50 Cent continued flooding social media with memes, jokes, and promotional posts for his upcoming business ventures, treating the entire situation like another internet spectacle. But the drama didn't stay contained within the rap world. Unexpectedly, the feud expanded into an even bigger spotlight when Tina Knowles, the mother of Beyoncé, reposted a video showing support for TinyHarris. That single action instantly drew attention from Beyoncé's enormous fan base. Within hours, thousands of new voices were pulled into the debate, pushing the controversy far beyond hip-hop circles. Soon afterward, many of the posts connected to the conflict quietly disappeared from 50 Cent's Instagram page. Yet by that point, it didn't really matter. Screenshots had already spread everywhere, and the internet had firmly divided itself into opposing sides. Some viewers believed KingHarris was simply defending his mother the only way he knew how. Others argued that the responses had crossed a dangerous line and made the feud far more personal than it ever needed to be. One thing is undeniable. What started as a single Instagram post quickly turned into one of the most talked about celebrity clashes online. It's a reminder of how fast drama can spiral when pride, family, and social media collide. Now the question is yours. Who do you think handled the situation better? Did the reactions make sense, or did everything go too far? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoy stories like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into the drama.